Beast Stalker, Giant Stalker, Dragon Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Demon Stalker, Rift Stalker, Grom Stalker, Crypt Stalker, Scourge Stalker, Wind Runner, I'm a pony, elite skill hunter. A death dealer, a life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 195 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Arth from the Warcraft Hunters Union.
And I am not Dark Brew. I'm Dielhelm, guest co-host today.
And I'm Alexander from the Hunting Party Podcast. And we have another guest as well.
Hey. Doesn't say it in the show notes. I'm Michele Morrow.
Yeah, we'll get to you. We'll get to you.
Today is Saturday, November 23rd, 2013. If you want to participate in the chat room and have your name mangled on the air, just create a cool huntery name and join the fun.
Yep. And speaking of the chat room, today we are joined by American Syrup, BM Jaeger, Cab Cuervos, Induates, Croa, Lakey, Lagerwolf, Mid 06C67E, Michelle, Raven, Savage Hunter, Verg, Vulture Eye, and Isamini. And our lovely moderator, as always, is Alexander. You can send your questions into Ali in a private message by left-clicking her name, selecting PM, and typing in the new tab. Or if you're not listening live to the show, you can send us a question at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com, and we'll try to get to your question on a future show. So, we do have two guests with us today. And you heard both of them briefly there in the intro. The first announcement, though, before we do introductions, is that Dark Brew is out for a second week in a row. He's on vacation, so he is going to be back next week, and we're hoping to have Roger Brown on the show. Roger Brown, of course, is from the world first Garrosh Killing Guild Method, and he also did the live raid with Method at BlizzCon. So we're going to get to talk to him about that and progression rating and what he thinks about some of the changes. So we're hoping to have him on next week, but Dark Brew will definitely be back. But today we have two people joining us. One is a brand new guest, and the other is a familiar face. First, filling in for Dark Brew this week, we have Dielhelm. Dielhelm was one of the applicants we got when we were thinking about bringing on a new full-time host. He has some podcasting experience. It's not WoW podcasting, but he's also a raid leader. He's a long-time hunter. So we didn't end up bringing on another full-time host when we were thinking about it a few months back, right after Euripides left, but we are happy to have him on today to fill in. So Dielhelm, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are also joined today by a longtime friend of the Hunting Party Podcast. She has made numerous guest appearances. Her Facebook bio calls her an actress, gamer, final girl, and part-time banshee. She's the talented, deadly, lovely, witty, and awesome Michele Morrow. Michele, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So we were just talking very briefly before the show, and I've heard a couple things from like interviews and your sites about a couple new projects that you're doing. The first is a TV show. It's maybe a little outside the realm of WoW, but before we jump into some of this WoW-related stuff, what's going on with you professionally outside of the game?
Oh my gosh. Well, the biggest thing that I'm really passionate about we've got a show called a movie that we're doing called The Road to Azeroth. It's I'm co-producing it with Nerdist Industries, Chris Hardwick, and Legendary Pictures.
Awesome.
It's about a woman named Terry Bolt. She's in her 60s. She plays World of Warcraft for therapeutic reasons. She's got pancreatic cancer that is terminal. She was told about 3 years ago that she had 6 months to live. It's the same kind of cancer that Steve Jobs had. And he was fairly quiet about it. Didn't get a lot of word out there about this kind of cancer. She has her treatments in the treatment room. We go over to Cedar Sinai, and she's playing World of Warcraft as it goes. So we hooked up with the guys over at Blizzard. Emil Rodriguez was amazing. He got everything set up for us just a couple weeks before, and we fulfilled her lifelong dream to go to BlizzCon with her sister Terry. And they dressed up as their panda and their goblin from in-game. We had some of the girls from the show Heroes of Cosplay do their costumes. They were amazing. They should have competed. I don't think I've ever been so happy to see someone else attend a convention.
Right, yeah.
It was just their eyes. They were so excited. And it really is the great equalizer because they're sitting there talking about their specs and about lore. They're
right.
Not
It could be
raiders.
someone's grandma, and they're talking about min-maxing their spec or something. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, totally. And they might not play the way that you and I play. They play a little bit differently than we play. But they play because it's their family, and they play because it's fun. And there's something in that I know that I relate to. It resonates with me very much because obviously a lot of people know me. When I got into playing World of Warcraft, it was when I broke my neck.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have a lot to do during that time. And that's when I found Lady Sylvanas' story to be extremely therapeutic to me because here was this woman with this strong will to try to find her body and to get her body back. And I could understand that feeling of anger, and that's how I got into it, was because of my own injury. And I've met so many people along the way due to it. We're going to be featuring a lot of other people. Hopefully we'll be meeting up with Quad. He's the guy who is mostly paralyzed, who plays in raids. There's a guy who's blind who plays with kind of like a seeing eye raider. We're going to be featuring these people as well, sort of in the B storylines of the movie. So we got a lot of great footage at BlizzCon, and we'll be doing a lot more soon. There'll be a Kickstarter to do an additional portion of it to raise money for this kind of cancer for research for it. First week of December or so. So definitely be looking out for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know at one point, I'm not sure if you were familiar with this was a hunter that Frostheim years ago became familiar with. His in-game hunter name was Quadilius. I don't actually know his real name.
Quad.
Yeah, the quadriplegic who did progression rating, and had figured out a way to do this in a way that was
he
really intuitive.
He sticks pencils in his fists. That's the guy I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's amazing, and
he really is, yeah.
I want to meet him probably more than anybody that plays World of Warcraft. I would love to just meet him and talk to him and see how he does it, because I would tell my raiders after I read his story. I read his story on WoW Insider's 15 Minutes of Fame, and after I read the story, I was in just total tears because I couldn't believe this person had this will. And I told my raiders, we were doing ICC at the time, and somebody was just complaining about something, and I just said, you know what? Shut up. Go over and read this article right now. You've got nothing to complain about.
Yeah.
Nothing. This guy is doing it, and he has so many less things available to him, and you're complaining to me about the stupidest shit. Sorry, can I swear now that Euripides and Dark Druid?
Technically, it'll give a little bit more work for our editor, our post-show editor. But yeah, no one here is gonna stop you.
Don't worry, Michelle. I've prepped myself to go from Rod Ford down to like a Ringo Starr on Thomas the Tank Engine for this podcast. So.
Well, So anyway, that's a project I'm extremely excited about. It's called The Road to Azeroth.
Road to Azeroth, yeah.
Right. The Kickstarter's awesome, and we've got a lot of people who are behind it. We've got Swifty in it, Hogman in Trade Chat.
Is the Kickstarter up already?
Not yet. It'll be up the first week of December. I'll definitely let you guys know.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get you some publicity for that.
That would be great. That would be great. I mean, Legendary and Legendary Nerdists have already thrown in quite a bit of money.
When you say Nerdist, is that the same as like the YouTube channel that many people would be familiar with?
Yes. So Nerdist Industry it's owned by Chris Hardwick. It's actually his birthday today. So happy birthday, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
And he Legendary Pictures owns Nerdist.
Okay.
Legendary Pictures is also doing the World of Warcraft movie.
Awesome. So there's a lot of interplay with that. Yeah, and it sounds like a great story, and absolutely worthy cause featuring these people and their journey and how WoW has helped them or what they've been able to do with the game. So it's a real interesting take on it.
Yeah, I'm really excited. As soon as I heard about it, I was at a birthday party, and Chris called me over. Because he knows I play Warcraft. I was talking to this girl. Her name is Andy Bolt, and she's the one that's the filmmaker. It's her mother, and they started talking to me about it. What can we do? How can we do this? And that's kind of how it was born. It was just kind of right from that.
Awesome. Well, yeah, best of luck continuing with the project, and especially once the Kickstarter gets up and started, hopefully you get a lot of support from the community as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll
So-
definitely let you guys know about it. Appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
It was actually cool to see Swifty and meet him in person and have him be so enthusiastic about it. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah. Well, lots of people there. So you were at BlizzCon. How was it?
Oh my god, it was definitely the busiest BlizzCon I've ever had. It was so much fun. It was a lot of work because obviously I was producing this documentary as well
Sure. Yeah.
as doing appearances and things like that. But I was still able to have a lot of fun. I still got to play the games, and I got to do a lot of stuff. I didn't get to play Heroes of the Storm though. It's the only one I didn't get to play. But I'm going to go over to the offices soon, I think.
I had forgot. I knew it was something Storm. I was going to call it Riders of the Storm, but yeah, that's sort of the Warcraft-esque, and not World of Warcraft, but Warcraft the RTS-esque game where you get to play as various heroes from different Blizzard franchises.
Right.
So it's not something we've talked about on the podcast a whole lot because we're so WoW-centric here, but yeah, it does seem very interesting, especially if like you play StarCraft and WoW or Diablo. There's some characters from it, so it really pulls from all these different games and has a very unique experience.
Well, you'll be able to play as hunters too. I mean, you'll be able to play as like Rexar, for example, or great hunters in history. You'll be able to play as Lady Sylvanas, who's more, she's a Dark Ranger, but you'll be able to play as people like that. And what's really nice about it is they're stepping way back, just like they are with the movie and just like they are with the expansion, Worlds of Draenor. Everyone's kind of taking a step back and getting a greater, more broad view of who all of these characters are, so that we know who Gul'dan is. We know who Thrall's dad is. We know who these people are, so that or who these beings are, so that the story makes sense altogether. Because there's a lot of people who didn't play the RTS games, so due to that, they don't know some of the lore that's very integral to the story. So I like the fact that they're going way back in all of these things. And in Heroes of the Storm, that's just another way to sort of make these characters very prevalent to each person.
Yeah, absolutely. Regardless of which of the franchises you're in, you'll be able to jump
Totally.
in and understand what's going on, and just play a kick-ass RTS too, I'm sure. So, something that I discovered recently doing a little bit of research for today's show, this is switching gears slightly, but you're an NPC in Mists of Pandaria?
I am.
Where's your character? I've not seen this or heard of it. Where are you in game?
I'm on the Wandering Isle. It is the coolest thing ever. I'm on the Wandering Isle. I think it's in Manduri Village, I believe. Okay. If I look up on Wowhead. I have a house with my cat Samus and Azriel, and my boyfriend. His name is Lamplighter Moo. My character's name is Michele. We're level 9 Pandarans, and we have a little house, and it's the coolest thing ever.
That is adorable.
It's awesome. During that time period, we right when Mists of Pandaria came out, we had a flood. We suffered a flood in our place, and it destroyed most of what we owned. We went through a lot. Our cat was lead poisoned. There was just a lot that we went through. We were living in and out of hotels because the contractors were trying to fix it, and it became this entire like lead, asbestos, mold nightmare. And so we had nowhere to live. We were having a very tough time. And then I got this note. I found out that we were put in the game and we had a house in the World of Warcraft. So at that moment, it was this really emotional time where you just said, like, I don't have anywhere else to live, but I know that I have a home in World of Warcraft. And it was
you have
really
a home you have a home in Azeroth, or rather Pandaria, I guess.
Yeah, in Pandaria. I think the very first thing I did was I ran laps around the hotel room with victory arms, and then I just broke down and cried. Yeah, so it's Michele. I'll type it in the chat so you guys can look me up. Go say hi, and yeah, there you go. Michele.
Are the cat names in the game, is that your real cat names, or is that something? Okay.
Yep, Azriel and Samus. Samus is Samus Aran from
Is Azriel named after the character from Chrono Trigger by chance, or just...
Or the cat from the Smurfs?
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
named-
yeah. Yeah.
He's named after the cat from the Smurfs, but the cat from the Smurfs it's a biblical name in general. Azrael is the archangel of death. So, I have a bounty hunter and an angel of death as cats.
Would
Yeah,
not
who-
want to sleep around
Who
Azrael.
knew?
then.
Who knew the Smurfs were so biblical?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly, right?
All this like been under the radar symbolism and whatnot. So
It
No,
is
that-
pretty cool though. Like we do a little emote. My boyfriend comes home after lighting the candles or lighting everything on the turtle's back, and he comes home and I blow him a kiss or something, and like little hearts happen. It's very cute.
yeah. So, and you talked a little bit about your connection to Lady Sylvanas and what drew you to the character originally when you had broken your neck, and that was when you were getting into the game, and her story sort of resonated with you. You being associated with Sylvanas, it's been a while. Like it's been years, probably since before I was associated with the Who. I feel like. Is
Yeah.
there any so? I guess, well, I want to ask if there's any news about the movie that you might know
Well,
that we don't. But
as one person in the chat room accurately figured out, is that, if you look at the timeline for the movie, we're starting way back. We're starting with an origin story. And the way that they're telling this story would mean that Lady Sylvanas would not be in this script.
yeah.
So,
They did mention where it was, and this is actually later on in the show notes here. It's going to be the Orcs' corruption by the Burning Legion is a root theme of the movie story.
right.
So it is a bit earlier than what we maybe originally thought. So yeah, Sylvanas might not end up being
She's
well-
alive. She's just not in the movie.
okay.
So,
They are
but
still
the-
doing casting for the movie, but yeah, it's
yes, correct. And that doesn't mean that there's not something else going on that I just can't really talk much about things.
Okay,
But
sure.
there are things, and so I'll talk about it later.
okay. No, I understand. There's only so much you can say sometimes. But yeah, so we do know a little bit more about the movie, and it is going to be set during that timeline. It is going to involve the Burning Legion, so which is great. I think it'll tie into at that time as it's coming out. I think we'll probably still be dealing with either Warlords of Draenor or getting towards the end of it. There'll be a lot of potential tie-ins as well, because we'll be set in that era, or I guess in the game Warlords of Draenor will be before the Burning Legion, but who knows? They might bring in the Burning Legion at some point.
Yeah.
So I think last week on the show we had Flint was our guest host, and he said, "I'd love to see the Burning Legion be like the thing that happens at the end of the expansion that leads into the next one. Like that's the big event that happens to tie the two together or something, which would be something cool and would also tie into what the movie's going to be doing."
Well, I think if they're smart, and I think that they are, Blizzard's very smart. They've been very calculated about how they're going to do all of this. I mean, if you look right now, just everything is going in sync. Everything like I was saying earlier, every single one of their games, all their stuff, everything is going back to these origin points and these origin stories. And
Yep.
it's not too different from what Marvel's doing with their franchise right now. So, like ABC and Disney and everything and Marvel, all of this together, and you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you get, an entire story about a promo about Asgard and Thor when Thor comes out that week.
Yep.
I mean, it's big business the way they're doing it, but it is smart and it's seamless, and I like it.
Yeah, they're tying it all together. Absolutely. So, don't mean to. We're gonna transition on here, and Dielhelm, want to bring you in the conversation a little bit. Get your take on some of these things as well, since we have tons of news coming out of BlizzCon and everything else.
Right.
But you are a raid leader. Do you do 25s or 10s in your guild?
Yeah, I'm a co-raid leader, and we all take a good chunk of the responsibility. We do 10s currently. Our guild has 2 10-man teams going. We're progressed. My team is progressed up to Thok right now.
Okay. And that's in normal or
yeah,
heroic?
yeah. We
Okay.
focus mostly on normals, a little bit more on the casual side of things, but
Sure.
and then we just started our second team up about a month ago, and they're up to Galacrass right now.
Okay. Great. Michelle, are you raiding currently?
Yes, I'm a raid leader for my guild Neverender.
I remember that you were a guild leader, but I wasn't quite sure if it had been a while since I had heard that, so I wasn't quite sure if it was still going.
Oh yeah, definitely. We raid every Tuesday, Wednesday. We're a very casual guild though. We definitely, so we kind of in and out of people. We do flex raiding so that we can get as many people in the guild as possible to be involved. I love flex raiding for that. For guilds like mine, I love it. I see why other people might not, but for guilds like mine, it's perfect. I want to be able to include people, and we've got a lot of great raiders. So on flex, we're at Nazgûl, and in regular, we're at the Shamans right before him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's not too far back.
No, it's not too bad. I mean, we could be a little further along, but I mean, people have been gone for chunks here and there, like people on vacation, whatnot. School starts up, whatever. We're pretty relaxed about it.
Yeah. Well, and for either of you, I guess hunters leading raids isn't necessarily like normally I guess the cliche is like the tank leading it or something like that. You don't necessarily see like your ranged DPS leading too often. But when I was the brief period when I was leading, I learned more about the other classes in that brief span of time than I had it in the rest of the game combined, because you don't need to know anything outside your class unless you're doing that. But has there been any challenges, Deal, to what you do from the DPS position as opposed to like a tank or even a heal or something?
Not really. I mean, there's so many beneficial add-ons for raiding now between DBM, big wigs, just all of it. It makes it to where you're almost watching the timers more than you are watching what's going on. So almost any class can lead any specific fight in any raid now. So it makes it a lot easier. But you got the bird's eye view being a range, especially a mobile range like we are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You get around the room like on Norishan when you got the ads popping out when DPS are going into the test phase.
So you can see things going on that maybe the tank can't with all the stuff going on in their face.
Right.
That's actually a perfect fight that you pointed out for that. It really is like that. You get such a good bird's eye view. You can call out if somebody's standing too close to something or they need to be on an ad or whatnot. And it really is actually quite helpful to have range to be a raid leader. At least for me, it has in the past. And also, I mean, my boyfriend is the main tank, so we can talk in the room and I can find out also what's going on with him. So I have a little advantage there.
But yeah, that definitely helps. So you don't even have to say it into event. You can just like yell across the room, "Hey, tank better."
I'm like, "Dad, you're not down." I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You damn druid.
I learned to back when Euripides was sort of the watchdog on the cursing. I learned to. So now I don't really swear on the podcast because I kind of taught myself not to. But Frostheim would always ignore him, and it's okay. we may have some children, but they gotta learn sometime. So
probably nothing I haven't heard before.
Right.
It's funny.
I just remember druid is also a swear word.
Oh yeah, exactly. See, that's what I wanted to say. Druid. I still think that we should be able to tame druids. Like, where did that ever happen? Come on, Ghostcrawler. What happened with that?
6.0, fingers crossed.
We need that to happen so bad.
Just scare a beast, turn it into a tame beast.
It has to, just for like just a minute, just like 30 seconds.
Even if look, here's the solution. Make it like you can only use it once a day, and have it be an out of combat thing, so you can't do it for PvP. Yeah, because it would be a broken ability in PvP otherwise. So once a day and out of combat, and boom, you have this wonderful thing just to troll the hell out of.
Well, they've made this toy chest now, so it can each class could have their own special little toy for their toy chest, and that would be, I think hunters would rally for that.
Well, the one hunter that actually has ever tamed a druid is in Burning Crusade. He's in the Serpent Shrine Caverns or something.
Oh wow.
So when the next expansion, maybe we can get that NPC to teach us how to do it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. See, with the lore connection here, I'm gonna make a whole article about this. This will be great. I'm tweet Ghostcrawler, be like, hey, all that other stuff I said, screw it. This is the only thing I want for the next expansion. So I'm gonna bring in some pieces of news that we got this week for this next question on mythic raiding. So Mythic rating is they're sort of juggling they're making Flex available for regular and heroic, and they're adding this Mythic with the assumption that like heroic will be a little easier than the old heroic was because Mythic's sort of taking its place. Because if heroic stayed the same level of difficulty and they had another one above it, no one would ever kill anything probably. But they said this week there's been a lot of pushback on the 20-player size, and they said a 15-player size was discussed, but the devs are already asking 10-player guilds to grow. I'm not quite sure why, but they selected the size that would work best going forward. So they're saying that the 20-man was the best because of the advantages it gave them when designing raids. So having 15, there were some things that they couldn't do with a raid size of 15, but it allowed for more complex and challenging raid mechanics for 20 players. So okay, that's a balancing and design issue. I'll take their word for them on that. But I think this has the potential to upset a lot of guilds who are used to the 10 and or 25 format. And
20's better. 20's better. I've been you guys can go back in Hunting Party podcast history and listen to me talking about how I want 20-man raids. Way back in ICC, I said this because it used to be 20-man a while ago. During what? Doesn't it like ZG? What was it?
Yeah.
It was 20-man for a while there. And the thing is about it, it's a nice number, especially for certain guilds. It's a really good number. You've got 2 10-man raid teams. You can you can slap those two together. You don't have to worry about the extra 5 people. It's just a much better number, I feel like.
Yeah, I think the 20-man it's a good number. I think it's going to, really in 10-man world first progression, there's only one team in the race, and it's Paragon. Yeah. So it's not really going to affect the 10-man overall. A lot of guilds that come behind after the videos are out and everything that have done the heroics, they're going to be in a pinch for a little bit. But there's also going to be a bunch of 25-mans who already had 30 raiders for swapping in for fights and whatnot, that are going to be shedding 5 or 6 people. So there's going to be people out there for these 10-mans to pick up and build their 20-man team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's some of the things that Blizzard's been saying. So some of the feedback has been, there'll be the opportunity to recruit. There'll be some new players in the pool of recruits. They're doing a lot with I forget the term for it, but they're merging realms essentially, so that
the virtual realms.
Yeah, well. It's literally they're connecting.
Connected realms.
Connected realms, yeah. So that there's not as many sort of barren realms. It doesn't feel like a ghost town. So they're starting. So rather than shutting down their realms, they're just merging them, which I think is great because there are a lot of low pop servers population servers that maybe feel a little bit barren, and this will be a little bit easier to recruit. So I do feel like occasionally, if you get these teams that have 30 for a 25 with some people to sub in and out, that if you then shed 5, maybe they don't want to shed 5. So you have 5 people that are kind of out in the cold looking for a new situation when they were happy with the one that they had. And
that will help the other guilds, though. The thing is that there's so many dead guilds out there. Talk about dead realms, it's dead guilds. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons there are dead realms is because there's dead guilds. It's because they can't raid. Or they don't have people to run with. And we have to remember not everybody raids, but at least for the raiding guilds, I have so many people come to my guilds. I have a lot of people, a lot of misfits. People come over to my guild. I accept them as long as they're not dicks. Everybody can be in my guild.
Right.
And one of the things that they say in their application is usually like, my guild fell apart. We don't have a raid leader anymore. Or there's already this many people raiding. Whatever it is.
Right.
I think those extra 5 people then kind of shuffling around is really going to help the community and not be so elitist.
Well, good. This is this is coming from 2 people who are raid leaders here, so it's encouraging to hear that you think this will be actually a positive step. And of course, it's not going to affect everyone because this is just for Mythic level. So this is essentially the old heroic rating. So if you were rating heroics, you're probably at some point now going to be rating Mythic. So it's not going to affect every guild. Some of the more casual rating guilds probably won't have to deal with this ever. But I hadn't heard such a ringing endorsement, so that's actually encouraging to hear that from raid leaders. You guys think that it's not going to be such a big deal.
Well, getting those 5 extra people too. I mean, I know we've got a guy in my guild. His name's Otsrock. He's amazing. He's a hunter. He's doing probably 80K more than me. I mean, he's ridiculous. He does OQ a lot and does a lot of open raid stuff. So he's very, very, very geared. And without him just having that little bit of extra know-how, just every now and then, it's really nice to have him, and he's not elitist, and he's really cool. And if you could get a little bit more people like that to trickle into some of the more casual raiding guilds, then those people can get further in, and they won't be hitting the wall so much as they are. Like, I remember back on, like, Horadon, we were hitting a really bad wall there on, like, the 3rd door, like really bad.
A lot of people hit a wall in Horadon.
Yeah, and then they hot fixed it. And the thing was that, without certain people, if you give the trickle down of these players to move into these other guilds, I think we're going to see more progression overall for majority of guilds.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things, though, where I do kind of criticize the 20-man is for classes like us, for hunters, non-Mistweavers, Windwalker monks. Big emphasis is going to be on raid cooldowns. We don't have a raid cooldown. We might be the ones getting cut from these teams that have to shed 5 people.
Yeah, hopefully not, but that raises, if all other variables being equal, that might be something that that affects certain classes. In the sort of real serious progression guilds, again, this won't affect too many casual guilds, I would think. But yeah, that's been a concern at various points. In this most recent patch, I think in 5.3, like warlocks were killing it in DPS, and you get some like extra portals and things like that to help out with movement, and there was reason to bring them over other classes, and people were starting to complain. So that can occasionally be a concern. Hopefully it won't affect us, but
that's a good
we'll have to
point,
wait and see.
though. That's a good point, though, about hunters not having cooldowns. I mean, and I even remember back in like ICC days, we had 6 hunters in our 25-man progression. And I mean, we were like second on server at that time, like, because we were really hardcore at that point. But there were 6 hunters in my damn guild, and it was hard because I didn't want to shed my hunters but at the same time, that's a lot of hunters.
Right. I mean, you gotta think about your comp and the beneficial. I mean, especially with like the level 100 talents coming up. I mean, if you guys talked about it on last week's episode, where if like a survival takes the with or without you talent and they don't have a pet, now what buffs are they bringing too? They better be killing it in DPS if they want to hold on to their spot.
Right, and that's actually one of the big questions I have about that talent. I like some of the things that they might be able to do with that in terms of making the specs seem very unique from one another, but with something especially in that particular scenario with buffs, where is that buff going to go? And if it's going away, what are we going to be doing or bringing that benefits the raid enough to continue to take us if our DPS is equal to another class? So that's a big question I have about that talent, much as I like it in theory, because it has the potential to hurt us if they take something like that away.
Yeah, maybe if they added some kind of raid benefit to Stampede in addition to the DPS, that would be a pretty good fix for us as far as raid utility goes. I mean, through the whole leading up to 5.4, when they were getting rid of readiness, everyone was complaining that we don't have enough utility, which is true. We don't. We have, we can bring a variety of buffs, but that's it. So
we also have killer DPS. I mean, at least in my guild, well, I guess it's hunters and DKs really at the top, but I mean, our DKS is legendary too. So I don't know. I mean, we're killing the DPS charts. I haven't been even in an LFR where the hunter isn't at the top.
Yeah, it depends on the fight for us. Me and another hunter are usually battling back and forth, but we also have our Brewmaster tank who just kills it on DPS, especially AoE fights. It's spin kicking and keg smashing all over the place. So
I have a feeling they'll be giving us something else for utility. I mean, there's still time to figure out what's going on, so they're not going to just leave hunters, without some massive benefit. I don't think. Right.
I mean, I think baking it into Stampede makes a lot of sense, just because we're already dealing with button bloat. So we don't need another button to push, but if they could just
We don't? Oh my god.
my Naga is working overtime.
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why even if they're maybe not the most exciting talents ever, I do kind of like all of our level 100 talents because they're not adding new buttons. 2 of the 3 are replacing current buttons that we have currently with upgraded abilities, so I think that's kind of cool. So it isn't adding buttons, and I think Blizzard heard that complaint and said we got to do something about this, and this is one of the responses to it. So we're going to get these upgrades with our level 100 talents without having to add new buttons. That was one of the things I thought they did with the talents that was very good, because we don't need. I'm pretty stocked up on my Naga on my mouse buttons too, so it. I didn't want one more thing to add.
You guys are all. I love how you're talking all about all mouse buttons too, because you guys know that notoriously, like people know this. I'm a keyboard player because that's how I learned when I played when I was in my neck brace. So playing with a mouse is horrible for me, and my DPS goes down by like 40K.
Well, it's all about learning I mean, there was a transition process for me learning to use the Naga, but once I did, my playing level is a lot higher than it was when I was a keyboard. And when I did with the keyboard, it was a mixture of keybinds and clicking. I was never a full keybinder at that point, but now I'm basically completely autonomous where I can do everything that I need to in most raid fights from my mouse. So once you do learn it, but there is that learning curve initially. So
I don't know. My fingers are pretty awesome. I can get across the keyboard pretty well.
Whatever works. I mean, Frost used to do crazy stuff, and he was a keybinder. He never used the crazy mouse stuff, and I just featured a soloer, a guy who does a lot of. He has probably more world first soloing achievements than any hunter I've ever heard of or seen. But he clicks. He doesn't even keybind. But it's PvE. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's very good at it.
I don't keybind either.
He takes a lot of flack for it. But if you're there is like a theoretical benefit that you could get, but if you're better as a clicker and you're very good at it, you can still top meters, you can still be really awesome. Now, where that argument falls apart a little bit is if you're trying to do high level PvP.
No, so like, PvP is the worst. If you're trying to do PvP, that's the time where that's when I got the mouse, the WoW mouse.
Yeah. You can't be a clicker. You got to be able to do
Battlegrounds. It's okay. You can get away with it in Battlegrounds, but not in Arena.
Yep. So I've never seen a high level Arena player who's a clicker. But I have seen some really, really good, including this guy who again has dozens of Hunter World First kills with soloing achievements. And he entirely clicks. So it's really proof that whatever's working best for you is what you should be doing. I always thought the arguments for not clicking were vastly overstated.
Yeah, so. People like to do that. People give me shit for it a lot, but I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's however you learn to play, the way you learn to play, and the way that you can do it best. As long as you're open to trying out other things and see if it works, then see if that works. If it doesn't, then go back to what you do best. Wherever you're going to top your meters, do that.
Ooh, our Synth Paradox in the with this mythic rating stuff, Synth Paradox, or Kenny, as some of us know him, in the chat room just said the free 90. So this is, you can automatically make one of your characters level 90, should help with recruiting for mythic raiding guilds, and that's absolutely true. That's a great point. I hadn't thought of that. So Synth does a lot of, in the past he's done a lot of behind the scenes work for the podcast, so I wanted to give him a shout out. And actually with Dark Brew gone these couple weeks, he's been doing the editing of the audio files and putting up the final versions of the podcast on YouTube and on outtps.com.
Sorry for the swearing, Synth.
Yeah. So yeah, we appreciate it, but that's an excellent point that I hadn't thought of. That free 90 that automatically send one of your characters to 90 should help with recruiting, and
absolutely,
and should help with say you're in a progression rating guild and you have this hunter and we get screwed out on buffs and there's nothing we can do and you're not getting taken on fights. Well, do you like to play another class? Hopefully that doesn't happen to hunters, but boom, you can have another class at 90 in 2 seconds. So it could help.
I think the common argument right now that you're hearing from the from the outspoken minority of the community is you're going to get a bunch of level 90s that don't know what they're doing. And I say right now we have a bunch of level 90s that don't know what they're doing on any given realm. So it's not really going to matter that much. If a good player picks up a new class, they're going to do well on it.
All right. I also just realized that I have to stop paying attention to the chat room because somebody just said that Doctor Who has started, and after this show ends, this is the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who, and they're having a special today. Yeah, it's the Day of the Doctor, and so
we're actually for tonight for Chris Hardwick's birthday. We're doing a whole Doctor Who birthday because it's his birthday on the 50th anniversary.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So somebody said Doctor Who had started, and I just typed in a warning to everyone, a murderous warning about it. So
don't.
I think I'm just going. So like after this is over, I'm going cold turkey on internet for the entire day until I get a chance to watch it.
No, don't do that. Go to Google. They have a Doctor Who thing up today.
Yeah.
The Google main page.
I know. I'm not doing internet today. I don't want to see anything until I'm able to see the actual.
You'll have to go to see Google though because it'll be gone. So you'll need to see that.
Okay.
At the end of the day.
Okay. So, but
I think I might be the only person in the world that doesn't watch Doctor
Who. You might be. The only
time to start.
Yeah, the only person on a gaming podcast who.
But possibly.
It's okay. You can start. We'll talk. We'll show you where to start later.
All right. I need a new show to watch. I'm actually a truck driver, so I'm broadcasting from a truck stop in Youngstown, Ohio, right now.
Oh,
are you really?
Wait, Youngstown?
For real?
No, that's my hometown.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa!
I know exactly where I'm originally from the suburb just south of Youngstown, but I don't live there anymore. But I'm surprised because like people don't know Youngstown exists. That's random.
Isn't it the
crazy?
At one point it was the murder capital of the world. There was more.
But no. Here's what it was. In the mid 90s, we're getting way off topic here. In the mid 90s, there was still a heavy mob presence, Italian mafia in Youngstown, and so there was a lot of murders. And we were the per capita murder capital of the country, not the world, but of the country. We were going back and forth with, at the time it was Miami that was competing with us for that title. So there was like a 6-year span where like 4 of the 6 years we were the per capita murder capital of the country. So
he's not kidding when he says don't tell him about Doctor Who, guys.
Yeah.
I'm seriously not paying attention to the chat room anymore. Like I'm about to close the damn
murder
tab.
capital of the world. He's not joking.
Right. Yeah, I'm from the Columbus area, but I'm going across the turnpike, headed out towards Pennsylvania. So I pulled over to stop for the podcast, and I'll get back on the road once it's over.
That's random. A Youngstown shout out on the Hunting Party podcast.
I gotta say, for a truck stop, your internet's pretty good.
Yeah, I use my Verizon phone, tether to it. And,
wow. Yeah.
That's how I play. I play up in the front seat of the truck every night. And,
dude, you're a badass. I love it. And you're radiating that way as a hunter? High five.
Yeah, I got my computer balanced on my steering wheel and dashboard. My keyboard's on my left knee. I use my right knee as my mouse pad. So that's how I get down.
So yeah, I am not kidding. If you say anything to me about Doctor Who, I will cut you. All right, let's get
a spoiler site right now.
Let's get back to let's get back to what we're supposed to be talking about here. Deal, you want to read this next thing about the brew pub?
Yeah, the Alterac Brew Pub is a hearty friend who always ready to lend a paw or revitalizing swig of good cheer to anyone in need.
Aww.
Bred for rescue duty, the Alterac Brewhound's bloodline is famous for having found and resuscitated many mountain travelers trapped beneath the snow and then slobbering all over them. The most famous brewhound of all is Bernard, credited with saving upwards of 50 lives, many of them dwarf and orc soldiers dragged out of the snow beneath the treacherous bridges of Alterac Valley. In honor of the Alterac Brew Pub's warm spirit, for every Alterac Brew Pub adopted from now until December 31st, 2013 at 11:59 p.m., 50% of the $10 purchase price will be donated to Make-A-Wish. So your support will help Make-A-Wish grant the wishes of children throughout the world with life-threatening medical conditions.
Yeah, we can stop there, but I wanted to include this because I'm not normally a fan of like the pay for mounts and pets and stuff like this, but 50% of this goes towards a good cause. So especially if you're a collector, this might be something you want to look into. Sports a good cause with Make-A-Wish there.
And I'm definitely naming mine Dark Brew.
Yeah, it's the brew pup. I think once you said brew pub. I think Dielhelm said
you can
brew.
name him, and you can pet battle with him, and you can name him Dark Brew.
Yeah, Dark Brew.
And then you can name another one Euripides and another one Frog Time. See, you can have a whole thing. That can be your trio.
Yep. So that's something to look into. Like I said, especially if you're a collector, wanted to mention that because it's something nice that Blizzard's doing to help support a good charitable cause with the Make-A-Wish Foundation there. We have actually too much of this news from this week to go through. So just gonna hit some highlights here. But we do know a little bit more about the Warlords of Draenor story. So again, we've talked about it. It includes Garrosh. The team had been talking, they said, about Warlords of Draenor since a few months before Mist of Pandaria. Yeah. So starting it so far in advance is to set up the Garrosh story for the next expansion. So they've had all this in mind, which is it's good to know. They're not making it up as they go along. One of the ideas tossed around was having the different mongrel horde races united by Garrosh. They realized it would be a cooler story if he was reassembling the old Orcish horde. So then the team had to decide how that would be done, and it was decided that going back to Draenor in time would be the best way to do that. So in early versions of the Draenor that they're making weren't going to have Zangarmarsh at all, but apparently somebody made some concept art with the giant mushrooms from Zangarmarsh, those iconic giant mushrooms, completely underwater. So, and the team thought that was cool, so they decided to use it. And along those lines, they're hoping that everything you see in Draenor will be a mixture of things that you find familiar and brand new things that you've never seen before. So there will be sort of that familiarity, but again, they are building Draenor from the ground up. They're not doing what they did in Cataclysm, where they're just tweaking existing realms. They are completely rebuilding the world.
So they've been working on it for a long time too.
Yeah, it's not Outland 2.0. It is going to be its own world with some familiar elements.
I'm so excited about this storyline. I mean, I know, and they haven't talked a lot about what other characters are going to be doing in it and who's going to be prevalent, who's not. They did talk about, I don't know if you guys saw the Christine Golden book coming out, War Crimes, that's coming out to kind of bridge Pandaria to Warlords of Draenor.
I've heard about it, yeah.
So it's going to be a book that's Garrosh is in trial in Pandaria. And all of the major leaders are going to take place. Sylvanas is going to be one of the big people in that, or one of the big players in that. So I'm very excited to see, and I'm super excited to see what she's going to be able to do with these timelines kind of around. Everybody has the time ways and what they could do. I mean, I'm curious about what these characters are going to do. You go back in time. How tempting is that for someone like Sylvanas to look and say, here's the time ways. Could I go back to before I was ever murdered? Could I go back and see what it would be like? Could I go back and kill the Lich King myself instead of having it go to the Fordlings guys? Like, I mean, there's so many different things that they could do with this sort of storyline with the time ways. And I'm very curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, and they have said it's not going to be the time travel expansion. Like, they want you to experience the content, not worry too much about all the implications. But I would imagine we are going to see some changes and some implications based on what we do in Draenor into the future.
All the patches are going to have something important.
Yeah.
I like how they say
really
it's not the
That really depends on the Bronze
go
Dragon
ahead.
fight, though.
The what?
Any implications, that's purely going to be on the backs of the Bronze Dragon flight, and they don't want any changes. So
they don't want any changes. That's
right.
the key there. Is if they don't want, but what are they going to get? You know.
And what were we going to say, Deal?
So I like how they call it. Say it's not the time travel expansion, but it has time travel as the basis for the story. So.
Sure.
I mean, I understand they don't want the whole Back to the Future effect, like they said at BlizzCon, with the Thrall doesn't have to play guitar to get his parents together. But
right.
I mean, do they not know the community they're dealing with? People are going to overanalyze this to death.
And let them. I mean, that's the kind of thing that people. That's the kind of stuff that keeps fan fiction alive. That's the kind of stuff that gets people excited about it. So, and it's where ideas stem. Sometimes just the community in and of itself will bring Blizzard an idea that makes them go, that would be really interesting. So, I mean, I know a lot of things that even the Hunter community that we've said have happened. So it's not that they don't hear us.
Yeah, I love I wish they would embrace it as the time travel expansion and use it as a chance to refresh the entire planet of Azeroth.
Yeah. And I mean, Michelle and I are Doctor Who fans. Like, time travel gets us all excited anyway. But
yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we'll see what they do.
Right. Yeah, but I think more than any other expansion that's come out, people are talking about these sort of lore implications to it in a way that they never had before. So I think the fact that they're even generating that conversation means that there's a lot more buzz around this than there has been. Everyone was interested in Pandaria, but and Pandas had been established in the lore, but we really didn't know what to expect. We didn't have any preconceived. We were just sort of experiencing it as they created it. Here, we're talking about all these different things from Burning Crusade and old lore, and could people change their histories? So like the possibilities and what we already know going into it are so much more. So it's making it, I think, more interesting from a lore perspective than we've seen in the past.
I don't think they're going to play around too much with a lot of people trying to change their history, but I could see, in my opinion, someone like Sylvanas doing that. Right now, she's been in the shadows for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
They've kept Sylvanas in a very special place. And what I'd like to know is, with this stuff now available to her, the Kor'kon is now, I believe, out of her city at this point now, right? Aren't they back in Orgrimmar now, correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So she's got that gone. And now she's already been chaotic enough. That's the kind of character that could go wild with this kind of thing. That she could find out what to do, and that would be a storyline that I would feel would be acceptable to take a look at. Because you could really see how injured and hurt she is. People kind of write her off a lot as just this total bitch and banshee, which, she's been. However, you can say bitch on national television, so that's okay. But people call her that. The thing is that, you bring her a necklace during, the quest line, and she sings, the Lament of the Highborn. You see there's this horrible feeling inside of her that's just torn her apart. She loved her life, and she killed all of her family and her entire race, and she killed everyone. She helped the Lich King kill everybody. I mean, if there's anyone who could go back in time and change something, I think Sylvanas would be the main candidate for that.
Let's send that soliloquy to into Blizzard, see what they do with it. So I agree. It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense with the character, where she's at, and the mindset, and so I hope to see things like that. If not with Sylvanas, then with other characters that it makes sense to have, sort of looking into the possibilities created by this. And I think Sylvanas is a good candidate for something like that.
Yeah.
So, we did have there was a couple other little lore bits where they said they were wanting to, they're burning through villains pretty fast, and so they keep trying to introduce new people and bring along characters that maybe were minor roles. So one of the reasons they introduced Garrosh, who's now a gigantic person within the story, and at one point really wasn't much of anything. They have characters like Wrathion with the Legendary Quest, Anduin, who they've been really bringing along each expansion.
I love Wrathion.
Yeah, so they said those are characters to watch going forward. They won't necessarily be. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll be central to Warlords of Draenor, but they're going to keep progressing them and other characters because they need. Well, I assume at this point they need new heroes and villains to bring in at different intervals for Heroes of the Storm. But also in terms of lore, if they just keep burning through villains, they're going to run out if they don't develop new characters.
There are tons of things though that we could go back to. I mean, one of the things I'd like to explore just in general is I'd like to know a lot more about the Titans and the old gods for sure. I mean, I would
I think a lot of people would.
more of that.
Yeah, when you're looking through forums, I mean, the two most referenced things are usually the Titans or the Emerald Dream. So they always have that in their back pocket.
Yep.
Yeah. So and
I don't think they're gonna ever do the Titans though, because if we kill the Titans, who are supposedly so incredibly powerful that they built everything and created us, how are they going to top that next expansion? You can't. So I don't think we'll ever meet the Titans.
That could be their swan song expansion for the game.
It could be a swan song, absolutely. No. I mean, but I think
Revenge of the Murlocs is their swan
yes,
song.
Revenge of the Murlocs.
Hogger.
Yeah, Hogger returns. They do have.
God.
They do have a new
jump the shark moment of the game.
No, that would be the bringing it back moment for me. Like I would not care if they did something like that. So many people, there'd be riots. There would be burning cars and stuff. But I would love something like that because I enjoy the lore, but at the same time, like just for the troll factor of something like that, if they actually pulled it off, I would just love it so much. So I would give Blizzard so many props. I'd buy anything they ever made for the rest of my life. But but yeah,
you don't already.
Well, that's a good point.
One thing they did not mention at all at BlizzCon? Titan.
Of course.
No. Yeah, they want people to forget about that for a while.
Alex moved over to being the lead narrative. Lead. I forget exactly what his title is. He was originally on lore, and then he moved over to Titan, and now when Titan kind of changed, they moved him back over to World of Warcraft. Now he's in charge of that.
Yeah, I feel like Titan kind of got shelved, didn't it?
Yeah, kind of. They got a skeleton crew rebooting it. I mean, we know how Blizzard operates. Remember StarCraft Ghost? They had playable versions of it at BlizzCon or E3, one of the conventions, and then a couple weeks later, it was dead. So. That's just how they operate.
Yeah,
someone in the chat. Good. They don't put it out.
Someone in the chat room said maybe we'll fight with the Titans against Sargeras, and I've actually seen a lot of speculation.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of speculation that Sargeras might be the final boss of this expansion anyway. I don't know that that's likely, but it's certainly a possibility.
What's left to kill? Ner'zhul. We could definitely talk about him. I mean, there's a lot of things to go back to. I mean, the Lich King is still kind of hanging out there too. I mean, the Lich King has switched hands. If we haven't forgotten this, that's still out there. There's a lot of storylines that are out there that I kind of wonder whatever happened to Maiev. Like what happened to Maiev? Like back with Illidan, like she just kind of disappeared into nothing. Where did she go? The Huntress is nothing without him. So that's what he says to her at the end when you kill Illidan. So where did she ever go off to? I'd love to see her reappear somewhere.
We are going to have a new
Jaina as well, freaking out.
We are going to have a new heroine, the
I like how they just made Jaina like slightly hotter and a little bit more bitchy, and everyone's like, "Oh, Jaina's awesome," and I'm like, "Oh God." I kind of liked her as the wholesome, like, awesome mage chick, but they had to make her a little bit more. I don't know. Like, I feel like she's super chaotic and gonna go evil at some point, as they do with all Blizzard women characters. Like, please don't do that. Ah!
Yeah, we are getting a new heroine, though, in Warlords of Draenor, Erel, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who starts as a naive princess, and then when the conflict kicks in, she'll need to become a hero over the course of the story. So she will end up taking a leadership role in the Alliance. They are trying to develop. That's been sort of an ongoing criticism, is the lack of real strong female. You got Sylvanas, you got Jaina, and then there's really a dearth. Yeah, but like it's really been a man's world, and with as many females as play and love WoW, it's good to see them.
Well, they all either become possessed or evil or kidnapped or whatever female trope there is. It's like
they need the men to save them. That's true to life, Michelle. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Treading on thin ice there.
Look. I'm from Spokane, Washington, and there's a lot of serial killers from there. So let's, you might be the murder capital of the world.
I'm from Youngstown, yeah.
So, no, I mean, look at someone even like Ashara. She fell because she got power hungry, and it wasn't because she was kidnapped or because of any other reason. As Shara, she effed up.
She drew it up.
She effed up bad because she got power hungry, and she let those guys in, and that's why we have the Sundering and whatnot. I mean but that was her fault. Because she was having an abuse of power, and I felt like she turned evil because it was her fate, because of something she did that was wrong, not of anything else. I kind of liked her story, to be honest. But yeah, I hope that they develop the female characters that they already have, and let those characters stand on their own a little bit more. Sylvanas is probably the strongest out of all, I would say.
Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
Anduin is old enough to start dating, which means he's almost old enough to start marrying. Who in the world is there left for him, other than that chick that we killed in the pirate thing? I can't think of any human females around for him.
Well, I think he could go for an older
Ero.
woman. I think he'd go for an older woman than Jaina. Jaina'd be like, why not? She could get rid of her dudes and be like, hey, what up?
Well, I could make that a quest line for female, human characters. I'd go for that. I could date Anduin.
With Anduin? You'd be into Anduin? Yeah.
Ollie really likes
Anduin.
Ollie really liked the Anduin stuff in Mists of Pandaria, so I'm not surprised at that. Maybe this Ero, maybe this new heroine. Who knows?
Hey, he's the hottest human model that they have. Literally.
It's true. I mean, well, I don't know.
To the fanfic forums.
Hey guys, we're talking about hot humans here on the Hunting Potty podcast. Let's do this.
Yeah.
But if they have to have a human female, a female, to be a powerful character, someday Anduin's gonna have to have a girlfriend and a wife.
Yeah.
So
He'll marry a commoner named Kate. They'll have a baby, and it'll be all over the Azerothian tabloids.
and then she'll fly.
Anduin will be the one in Old Draenor that finds Mancrick's wife, and they'll fall in love.
Mancrick, oh my god. No.
That is the saddest thing.
There's a reference for you, people who have played since vanilla.
We do need more Tyrande too. Liger Wolf brings up a good point. And we do see her, a little bit in Siege, and we see everybody a little bit in Siege. It's just, I don't know. I'd like to see a little bit more of her too. I'd like to see a lot of the female characters a little bit more, and not just, hey, we're going to create a new one because we don't know what to do with these old ones because everyone's going to get pissed at us no matter what we do.
Yeah, I think that's it's a good point overall. I think they're aware of the issue, but hopefully they don't just create new characters, but they do try to develop some of the existing ones as well. I think that's a good point, and hopefully they are aware of that and take it to heart.
I'd actually kind of like them to take some of those bratty kids that are running around Stormwind and advance them into characters that actually go out and do something. That would be nice.
I don't know. I don't go to Stormwind unless I'm killing something.
Oh, there's just this little girl and boy that chase each other around, stealing each other's toys and breaking them. You just know they're going to grow up and get married. And then there's a school teacher that's walking kids around, giving lectures, and they're just the NPCs that wander around town. And they've been growing up a little bit, and they advanced with Cataclysm. They got new dialogue and things, but if they actually grew up and the boys joined the army and stuff like that, and we started seeing them out in actual quests and watched them grow up, so to speak, I think that'd be kind of nice. I mean, we've been seeing them forever.
Yeah, the evolution of the world in small ways like that is something that that a lot of people have been asking for. It's also something we put into the Hunter project as one of our non-Hunter sort of miscellaneous items, where take each zone or each city and find one or two ways to sort of advance it so that the world feels like it's progressing as a whole, not just the new content, but everything, so that it all feels a bit more organic. It doesn't feel like everything that we've already done is just static and never going to change. They've done that a few times, and of course Cataclysm was the big one where they changed a lot with the world. But I'd like to see, one of the big requests was let's rebuild the dam, the Stone Rot Dam, or and this is another example of that. So I think that's a request that isn't just something that we've been talking about within our little corner of Warcraft fandom, but a lot of people have been mentioning. So hopefully they find ways to progress the world like that, and I think that's a cool example, is the little kids in Stormwind. So we've been going for about an hour now, guys. So I'm okay to do a little bit of a post show, but I think we should probably hit the outro now. Okay. But
Okay.
yeah, because there's a couple other things we can talk about, and it's been really fun having both of you. Dielhelm, Michele, thank you. This turned into a really fun show, and we'll try to have you guys back at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's in 5 episodes, right? Don't we
Yeah, I
have
think I've already talked to
episodes
Michele
right?
about I've already talked to Michele about episode 200. So if you haven't, we haven't really said anything official about episode 200 on the podcast so far. But we are planning a big sort of reunion show. So there's going to be a lot of people back for it, and we already have Michele saying that she'll be happy to come back, which is awesome. So
Because we drinking, guys. We drinking.
we'll bring back the drinking game. We gotta
I will outdrink Frost this time. I swear I will.
We got to make some
pass out.
adjustments to the game because, I'm a full-time host now. I'm not even in the drinking game, so we're gonna add some things to it. We'll have that out a week or two before the final show so that everyone's familiar with it. But yeah, we'll play the drinking game again. So that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be coming up probably early January. We're looking at for that show. But with that, you have been listening to episode 195 of the Hunting Party podcast. I'm Arth from the Warcraft Hunters Union.
And I am not Dark Brew. I'm Dielhelm from Desecration on the Rexar server.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm Alexander from the Hunting Party podcast.
And that's Michele Morrow from Parts Unknown.
Hey, but you know what? If you join my Facebook page, I'm about 50 away from 9,000, and when I hit over 9,000, I'm having a big giveaway. So
Awesome.
make sure you go over there and click like.
I forgot to plug that. You can check Michele out on IMDb. She's got a Facebook page, so she does some.
Is / Michele Morrow official. Michele spelled with 1 L.
Yes, yeah, 1 L in the Michele. So, and from there you can you do a lot of you have some videos, you have some guest articles on various sites. So there's a lot of different things that you have a hand in, and from those pages you'll be able to see a lot of the things that she's involved in. But go ahead and take the next line here, Dil.
And you can check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or at our RSS feed to your reader. Links are available on the show notes.
Yep, and if you like us, don't be shy about leaving us a review on iTunes or YouTube, especially one where you tell us how much warlocks need nerfed.
You can submit a title for this week's show by emailing us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com and have your name mangled on air by professionals.
And I think I might have a show title. A wise man once said, "You can dance if you want to. You can leave your friends behind." See you, everyone.
For the Horde!
Stay thirsty, Stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your Dark Brew Lager and Nerf Canada.
Nerf Canada.
All right. Yeah, good show, everyone.
That was fun.
It was. We've been doing good with guests recently. We had a period there where we couldn't get anyone, and then in rapid succession we've had BRK and then Flint last week, and hopefully we can keep the good this week, of course, with these two, and hopefully next week we can finally lock down Roger Brown. So it's been a fun month or so with the show.
A life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce.
But yeah, thanks to you both. Deal, I was glad we were able to get you on, and Michele
From a truck stop, no less.
from a truck stop in nowhere, Ohio.
I'm like,
Yeah,
sitting on my
it's,
couch with coffee. You're amazing.
About halfway through this, the blizzard started kicking up.
Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SV. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one